Good morning, Mark Soderberg with ADM Investor Services with your morning ag update. Mostly lower trade here this morning as we await the weekly export sales data. Corn is steady to a penny lower. Wheat prices mixed, ranging from down a penny in Minneapolis to up 3 in Chicago. Lower across the soybean complex, beans off 3 to 4 cents. Meal is about $2 lower, while bean oil is off 20 points. U.S. dollar, that is slightly higher. Yesterday, the U.S. dollar index briefly dipped below the July low, falling back to the lowest level in 3.5 years before a late day recovery. The lower trade prompted by shortly after the Fed announced, the widely announced 25 basis point cut in the U.S. Fed funds rate. U.S. stock indices are also leaning higher this morning, looking to challenge all-time highs. Weather-wise, rains continue to fill in across the western Corn Belt and northern plains the past 24 hours. Moisture will gradually shift far enough east into the central and eastern Corn Belts by early to middle part of next week. Overall, these rains are not expected to have much of any impact on this year's corn or soybean yields, however, will help restore soil moisture in some of these drought-stressed areas that have developed. Rains will also be beneficial for the winter wheat crop, which is currently being planted. Temperatures are expected to remain in an above normal pattern into early October. In South America, timely rains continue to fall across key growing areas of Argentina and southern Brazil. Scattered rains will start to fill in across the east central regions of Mato Grosso do Sul by the end of September, bringing an end to their dry season. Wire services are reporting the Trump administration and members of Congress are working on an aid package for U.S. farmers that are working with another year of operational losses, given the high input costs and low commodity prices with the expectations for this year's record harvest. There is even some speculation that these funds could be sourced from the government's tariff revenues. The hope is to have these funds in farmers' hands by the end of the year. President Trump is expected to speak with Chinese President Yi tomorrow, and continued hopes that they meet in person this fall, hopefully laying the groundwork for a trade deal that involves the purchase of U.S. agricultural goods. Also by early November, Supreme Court expected to hear arguments on whether the Trump administration's use of tariffs are legal, and of course also dealing with delays whether EPA will be able to reallocate at least a portion of the biofuel exempted from these smaller refineries. D-Scorm seems to be clinging to its 100-day moving average at 426.5. Near-term support, that last week's low at 422, and we need to trade up to 433 in order to fill a gap on the charts from July. Nove beans traded to a new low here overnight. Supports at the 100-day moving average at 1031 versus overnight low so far 1038. Longer-term resistance is at the summer high at 1074.25. I think the seasonal lows for soybeans are in, given this year's lower acreage base. I do not look for a major collapse in bean exports, even without a trade deal with China. USDA did lower that export forecast 20 million bushels last week to 1.685 billion. We're already pretty much at the levels we saw during the first trade war in 2019-20, first trade war with China. At that time, they were also dealing with swine fever and, of course, COVID. So I don't think we're going to dip back below that $10 level. Next support for October oil is at last week's low at 49.44. October meal holding support just above its 50-day moving average. Quiet trade in the wheat. Russia is looking for ways to boost their grain exports as wheat shipments have gotten off to a slow start. Sales in July and August at only 6.1 million metric tons are down almost 40% year over year. Thanks for listening, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful day.